somebody asked that, what do I have to do to find out my mission? And I said, whatever is important to you, what you're doing, that is your mission. For instance, a housewife with children says, well, what can I do to change the world? I said, you have all the power in the world in your heart and in your thoughts. So when you're doing the dishes, you can think and send positive energy to the planet, or to a special group or special person you want to help or whatever. So you have all the powers. And when somebody says, well, what is the highest, quote, quote, of course we're all equal in the spirit, but what on this planet is the highest mission you can have? You'd sort of think quickly that maybe to be a famous scientist with a Nobel Prize or something like that. No, it is to be a housewife with children. And why is that? Because the housewife with children only gives love to the children, and doesn't get titles or money or whatever recognition outside the home. And we don't think that, because many times people who are at home working with children, working with the house, they think, well, I'm only a housewife. And I every time correct, I said, don't ever say that, I'm only, because that is the highest thing you can do, raise up the next generation with love. And the love frequency, of course, is also the healing frequency. As a medical doctor, I was very surprised when I was working in the field several decades ago that I had the ability to give healing. I had read about it, and I knew that everybody is an energy, so why not? So I just tried. I said, let me see, because a friend of mine was going to a gynecological operation. A gynae professor who happened to be my classmate from medical school had diagnosed a hard 3-centimeter tumor in the ovary. And this was a Saturday, and she was going to the hospital on Monday. So I said, let me try, let's make an experiment. So I concentrated that the energy would flow through me, not from me, but through me, like a water faucet. And I put my hands on her stomach, but not on the stomach, but maybe 10 centimeters away. And all of a sudden I started feeling a prickling in my hands. You know, it was incredible. It was warm and it was prickling. And I was concentrating, and she said, look, it hurts. I said, it can't hurt because I'm not touching you. But it was the energy that was, you know, coming through. And then at the end, when she went on Monday to the hospital to have the operation, the doctor tried again, you know, check the tumor, and took a pencil into her hand and was sort of pondering, and so the patient says, what's wrong? Well, I can't find the tumor anymore. And then the patient said, look, my friend Rauni was giving me healing. Oh, it's one of those things again, you know. She just, you know, put it aside, and that's it, no operation. And another time, you know, a patient had a very, very bad bursitis. You know, it was all swollen and red here. And again, I said, look, let's try. Because it's, you know, otherwise you'd have to have a, you know, medicaments and keep it in a mitella for a week or two or something, not touch it. So I just again put my hand over it, and all of a sudden she says, look, it feels funny. It feels like you would be injecting, you know, an injection into the joint. I said, that's exactly what I should do. I should give you a cortisone injection in this case. But of course I didn't. I was just giving healing, the energy. Next morning she was totally fine. She was, you know, could move all over. It was just totally gone. Now, I was flabbergasted. I mean, I thought, why don't we teach this technology in the medical schools? You know, then you would have to take another look at what it is to be a human being. And I know in the nursing schools, sometimes, at least in New York, there are nursing professors who are using healing, and there's absolute medical proof that it works. I mean, you can give healing to anemia patients with the normal medical treatment and with the healing treatment, and your hemoglobin rises more than with the normal medical treatment. So there is absolute proof, but doctors are not interested. Why not? Because it changes the worldview, the view what it is to be a human being, and Big Pharma gets no money. That is behind it. That's why it's being suppressed all over.
But we are all healers. We are all healers when we make the 2-1 And like Jesus said, we have to make the two one, the inner as the outer. And it can be, you say you can understand that in so many ways, but what I see is making the two one, I personally see as making, you know, making really the light body and the body one, making the two brain hemisphere in harmony, so you will have a clear connection, or I use it as you have like a tube in your head going up, a glass tube where you can see all the impulses going up and down like little things. And you know, we all are healers, because you know, sometimes when I go into a room, of course I have a lot of personal power, and I radiate normally a smile, and you know, I'm positive and optimistic, you know. I don't want to look pessimistic, always find another way. But you know, people say, oh, I just feel so much better when you're around. Of course, if I am at peace with myself, if I am in harmony, you know, and we all have the ability, but we have to realize, we have to admit that we are spirit beings in an earthly temple, our body. We are not earthly beings seeking spirit. That's the opposite way around. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we can radiate. Some people seem to have, I would say, more energy, or they use their energy more. And when somebody comes in with a lot of energy into the room, you know, you can feel it. I mean, you can really feel the radiation. You can even measure it with your hand. You can feel it where it goes. And it's interesting that if you smoke, your energy diminishes, or if you drink alcohol, it also diminishes. And if you're sick, of course, it goes, your energy goes more in. And if you're healthy, happy and fine, so whoosh, it radiates all over. And that radiation has an effect on other people. So sometimes, you know, people say, oh, it's so good to be like with you, because you radiate the positive energy. And then there are some people who are draining your energy, and you feel uncomfortable and you don't want to be there, because they are really draining your energy. And when we would understand more, everybody, that we are dealing with energy, frequencies, vibrations, life would change. We wouldn't be so engaged with the materials and with the material body, because that is only mostly water, and it's only like a coat of arms for us, so that we can physically be seen and doing things. But when we take that energy of ours, the energy body, the light body, so that it really has an effect in all our contacts, that will change the world. That is the change. But we need to be conscious that, hey, it just doesn't come like that. You have to concentrate, you have to focus on what you want.
That's where we are going. You know, right now we have like you can say the dualistic mind or worldview is very dominating, and that's where we have the ego, we have the fear. And when you are in dualism, your energy state will always be lower, and fear has to do with low energy, because if you have high energy, you vibrate high energy, you cannot fear, because it's the other end of the pole, you can say. But where we are heading are into the unity again, the unity consciousness. And this is also why, because we have many people are in a kind of dilemma today, because they have to say goodbye to the old world, which actually has changed. So they are holding on to the old world and say, and fighting and debating and fighting the neighbors and so. But when we start to, we have to change from within. We have to cultivate ourselves. But when you go to the grocers, you go to the shop to buy things. You know, if you smile at the man or the woman there, if you just say a little word, you don't have to. Their whole day is changed.
That's right.
So
you recognize the person who is in a service profession. Often they are not recognized. All you have to say, a nice little thing like, oh, you got a nice dress on, or you look happy today, or are you okay, or whatever. Just a little thing that you consider the other person, and it saves the whole day. And somebody says, thank you for being kind to me, thank you for helping me. Like yesterday, I needed an envelope, and a lady had one and gave it to me and said, no, it doesn't cost anything, you can have it. I was so happy. You know, you can do so little things to make other people glad and happy, and they're small things. They're not big ones, you know. We don't change the world with huge things in one day, but the small drops You know, there's the raindrop going on the stone, dunk, 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 and in some years there is a hole. A raindrop can make a hole in stone. You wouldn't think it can, but it can. So it's just repeating, 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 sending the positive energy.